Hey everyone, welcome to week 12, and welcome to the final full week of NaNoWriMo. I hope you guys are staying on top of your word counts. I finally caught back up today. I was behind for a few days because of Harry Potter and my college roommate coming down to hang out for a couple days, and so I got about 5,000 words behind, but I caught back up today, which is Sunday. As always, recording on Sunday, and I caught back up today at a write-in, so it was great. Wrote 5,000 words in 2.5 hours. Score! I'm actually still working on Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, reading-wise. I realized it was going to take a lot longer than I thought it was going to read it, so I'm still reading it, because you know what? I can't stop it in the middle. I mean, I probably could, because that was mostly what I wanted to read before I saw the movie, since it was just for the first half, but I can't do it. Not for a Harry Potter book. I can't just stop reading in the middle, so I'm still working on that, but once I'm finished with that, which will probably be within the next day or so, I think I'm going to start reading The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. It's a book that was recommended to me by my aunt last Thanksgiving, and I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to probably be reading it while I'm at her place this Thanksgiving. So this week we are talking about getting into characters' heads, and there's this really famous quotation by, I believe it's E.L. Doctorow, that says, where he said, writing is the socially acceptable form of schizophrenia, and I think that is completely true, especially when we're talking about getting into our characters' heads. I don't think I so much get into my characters' heads as they get into mine, and people that aren't writers, friends of mine that aren't writers, and my family, none of which are writers, fully understand the fact that I can't really control my characters. They just kind of do what they want, and sometimes I lose control of them really quickly. I tend to do creepy things like talking to myself. I will actually have, when I'm like driving the car or taking walks, or even while I'm at the office working, I will have, although while I'm at the office working, I tend to keep my dialogues to myself, like they just go on in my head. I will actually have full conversations with myself, essentially. I'll have dialogues with my different characters talking to each other, so I can figure out what they would say or what they need to say, and sometimes those dialogues end up actually in my novels. I know there are a lot of dialogues that ended up in Call to Action, and the same with my Nano novel. And it might be a little creepy and people might think I'm a little weird, but it's what I do, because one of the things I do the most is dialogue. I love dialogue. Dialogue's really exciting. Their personalities just kind of come pre-packaged, I guess. Like for Call to Action, I knew my character of Care was going to be rather snide, I guess. She's kind of got an attitude. She's rather sarcastic. It's narrated in first person, so she's the one telling the story, and when she's narrating, she talks in these really short sentences, and the paragraphs, for the most part, are pretty short, just because she kind of jumps around a lot, and she has to make comments in between each little thing that she says, and that kind of just came to me, to tell you the truth. I didn't initially, well, I guess in a way I kind of initially planned for her to be like that. When I was first envisioning her opening narrative, she was kind of like that anyway, but she just kind of got worse. And whereas for like my Nano novel, I quickly discovered that Maggie, who's my main character for The Trial of the Radicals, she thinks a lot. She's starting to talk a lot more now, but she started out by thinking a lot, and so I had to quickly get used to the fact that she was doing a lot more narrative than dialogue, which was really weird because usually I feel pretty strong on the dialogue. Like, there's too much dialogue. One of the things I do, sometimes I'll have, I guess you could call them like artifacts that connect me to the character, because there are sometimes when I have trouble picturing something, or I have trouble placing my character's personality into the story, because, even though they rule the story, essentially, I'm the one who has to write it, so sometimes it's difficult to find the words. So there have been times where I've bought things like little wooden boxes that ended up being a huge plot point in a story. Or, like, if you remember my Cup O' Destiny, which was a little Titanic replica artifact thing that I bought at the Titanic exhibit, that was kind of to get into one of my characters' heads. For Care, one of the things I've always considered doing, but I actually haven't had to do yet, is she wears a yellow ribbon tied around her wrist for most of Call to Action, and so I'm almost thinking that maybe, especially for editing, which is when I really, really have to get into my characters' heads, I let them get out of control during first drafts, but then when I'm going back and editing, I really have to kind of reel it in and nail their personalities down. So I'm thinking I might actually find some yellow ribbon and tie it around my wrist so I can just kind of focus on her, and if people look at me weird, then it's really not the first time. But one of the things I'm doing for Trial of the Radicals to get into Maggie's head, sometimes when I'm having trouble, and I had to do it a few times earlier in the month when I was struggling with the fact that she was thinking too much and not talking as often as I initially thought she was going to. She actually wears a necklace that is basically exactly like a necklace I have, and she has a nervous tick that goes along with it. So I will wear the necklace that it's based off of, and I always have it with me when I'm writing. And it's this. This is the necklace that Maggie wears. It's a little beetle, and its wings flip open, and there's a clock. The clock doesn't work. And it's this exact necklace that makes an appearance in the story, and it's almost exactly, she has it for almost exactly the same reason I have it, where this was my grandmother's necklace, and after she died, I got it. And Maggie's nervous tick is that she will, when she gets nervous, she flips the wings open and closed and makes a really obnoxious sound, which is not something I do. But so sometimes I have little artifacts with me, particularly when I'm struggling, or when I start editing Call to Action in a few weeks. I'm going to need it to nail down Kira's personality, because she is out of control. My characters kind of run rampant 95% of the time, I'd say, unless I'm editing, and I lose control of them. It depends on how quickly, on their personalities, I guess. In Call to Action, I lost control of my characters within about the first 2 pages of my first draft, and my characters got all sassy and whatnot with each other, and I was like, really, guys? Already? Seriously? With Nor the Battle, one of my characters I lost control of pretty quickly, but the other ones, it took a little bit longer. And the character I lost control of very quickly in Nor the Battle was Ava, who is the younger sister of my main character, because she has no filter and has to always say what's on her mind. But the weird thing is that for my Nano, for Trial of the Radicals, I actually just started losing control of my characters about the time that I hit the halfway mark. One of my characters started getting a bit of an attitude, and I was like, that's not how I pictured that scene going. And it was a character that I hadn't originally thought had much of an attitude, so I learned something new. So yeah, that's how I get into my characters' heads. Like I said, it's not so much me getting into their heads as it is them getting into mine. Artifacts are very helpful, and yeah, maybe I'll show you guys my little yellow ribbon if I ever actually end up having to wear it. Happy Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving's in just a couple of days, and it's going to be very exciting. Turkey and stuffing, and I'm looking forward to corn pudding, personally, because I love my aunt's corn pudding, and I hope she makes it this year. I didn't get to participate in Thanksgiving last year, or any holiday meal last year, because of my diet. So I'm very, very much looking forward to holidays this year. That was very painful last year. And good luck on your last full week of Nano. Rack up that word count, because it's going to help you a lot. As always, come back the rest of this week to hopefully see everyone else's videos. I know there's been a lot of slacking going on, but everyone's, been busy with life, and I know everyone's been getting over sickness and been busy, and it's just been completely insane. So, yeah, we're all tired because we went to Harry Potter midnight last Thursday. I hope you enjoyed that video. See you guys next week for my last video before the end of NaNoWriMo. So, it'll be exciting. See ya!